It's really important to stay hydrated. They say to drink 8 to 10 cups of water per day to stay properly hydrated, but sometimes that can be difficult to do and completely inconvenient, and most of us don't feel like carrying a gallon of water with us at all times. But that's where Liquid IV comes in. Liquid IV is the category-winning hydration brand fueling your well-being, and their hydration multiplier is the one product you're missing in your daily routine. In just one stick, you get 5 essential vitamins and 2 times faster hydration than water alone. Use it first thing in the morning, before a workout, when you feel run down, after a long night out, or on long flights. Man, in Iowa, the summers can be brutal. 90 degrees and tons of humidity, and that just saps the energy and water right out of your system within just a few minutes. Luckily, Liquid IV hydrates 2 times faster than water alone, with 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks. It's very important to replace those electrolytes, you know? And I just love how quick and easy it is to use Liquid IV. You just get one packet and a bottle of water, and you just pour that packet into the bottle of water, shake the heck out of it, and bam, you are good to go. Since using Liquid IV, I've felt way more alert, active, and just plain better versus drinking water alone. My favorite flavors to go to are the Yuzu Pineapple Energy Multiplier and the Tropical Punch Hydration Multiplier. I can't get enough of those ones. And what makes them even better is, like I mentioned earlier, they're packed with 5 essential vitamins like B3, B5, B6, B12, and vitamin C. And again, 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks. And they're non-GMO and free from gluten, dairy, and soy, which is just great. So you can get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code SUPERPODSAGA at checkout. That's 20% off anything when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code SUPERPODSAGA, SUPERPODSAGA, at liquidiv.com. You have a great one, superstars.
Oh, hi there, superstars. His name is Aaron, and he's making me miss the Xbox showcase for this.
His name's Tommy, and he unironically enjoys fruit stripe gum.
And you're listening to the Superpod Saga. That's right. Like I said before the music started, you are listening to the Superpod Saga. That is the podcast. This is the podcast where Aaron and I bring a different video game topic every week to talk about, and then we just talk about it. You people keep listening, so we're going to keep talking.
That's right. Soon we'll have more episodes than hit soap opera, The Young and the Restless. We're almost there.
We're catching up. Maybe. I think I actually have no idea. We're not alone. We're not alone today. There's another person here at our imaginary table. It's Mike. Hi, Mike.
Hello.
Thanks for being here today.
Pleasure is all mine, I assure you. Once we get into the conversation, you'll figure out that you're the one that's in trouble, not me. So.
Uh-oh. Mike does a lot of stuff. He doesn't just settle himself down to do one thing. What do you do, Mike? What do you like about video games and stuff?
I like everything about video games. I do a lot of things. Apparently right now I'm best known for the Quest 64 Twitter account that I started this year. It's kind of the thing. But that's one in many things. I'm a Nintendo 64 historian, so I do a lot of trivia and fact gathering about things that don't have any sort of written history on the internet, where everybody gathers their information from. Specialty games, import games, developers, and just things that people look for that they can't find. And then I have a current residency on the Bill Tendo Show, which is a retro television video game radio show in the Dallas-Fort Worth area on Out of the Box Radio. I've been doing that for a couple months now. Other than that, I just hang out and make memes and try to get people to play Nintendo 64.
That's how you do awesome. It. That's great.
It is.
You sound very knowledgeable, which means you'll fit right in because me and Aaron are very smart.
I've heard that about you from you.
Today we've got a topic that I am so happy lined up with Mr. Quest 64 man. We are going to wait. I skipped some stuff. Where can people find your stuff to follow you if they want to find you on social media and things?
You covered it. The Twitter
I
account's the
thought
Twitter
so.
account. So the radio show you can find if you don't listen to it live. It's on Spotify and all those other places where people listen to things with their ears. I don't know.
Perfect. And where can people find us, Aaron?
If they also want to listen to us with their ears, they can go right to superpodsaga.com. And
Yes.
I earlier this week just added a new embedded media player to the website, so you can listen to any episode right from the website. You can even put your phone to sleep and it'll still work. I tested it many times. It works. So
That's technology has truly advanced.
yeah, it's been there for a while. I didn't tinker with it too much, but yeah, it's there now. You can do it. Trust me, I did it many times.
But we have a Patreon.
That's true. We have a Patreon. We have a blog. Patreon. We have like three bonus shows a month. If you want to check that out, maybe 4 soon. I think you said you were gonna do something.
Maybe. I don't want to promise anything that doesn't end up happening, but there's plans in the background for another show.
Okay,
And
cool.
that's really cool for you guys. I wish people gave me money for doing things instead of me just hemorrhaging money for the last decade.
Right?
You telling me
Oh,
you
man.
don't make money off of those sweet fucking memes that you
No.
throw out every day?
0%. I am way in the negative for amount of games I've bought and then consequently given away later on, or companies that I've talked into giving away free stuff that haven't given me anything in return. And yep, it's all bad. It's all bad stuff for me.
The amount of money it costs to make a meme, people don't understand.
Yeah, the sweat investment that goes into being as shitty as I am on the internet all day, every day is incredible. So.
You should start an OnlyFans, but like it'll be photos of you posing with a copy of Quest 64 and like really lewd, like really.
I feel like there's a big audience for that.
Every single time I do a
sweet.
poll on what we should add to the Twitter account, the winning thing is always 18 plus content, and I'm like, Brian is like 12 canonically. But...
Oh man, please.
I don't know where I would go with that. That's not my forte, but I guess I could probably make it happen.
Oh man, good times. Look forward to that, people. But for right now, what you're listening to and what you're going to hear for the next few minutes to hours or whatever, we are going to talk about the best one-off games, and I have to give some explanation for that. I mean, games that never got a sequel, never got a fancy remake. It just came out and existed. I'm gonna have to bend the rules a little bit because that's kind of a sticky situation. Like some remasters are okay. We'll discuss. It's about the spirit, the spirit of games that came out and then just that was it.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Everyone's good. Everyone's cool.
No, I don't know what I'm doing, but yeah, I'm here for it. So.
Excellent. Then
basically just like games that never got a sequel, but like it's all right if they got like DLC where it was like cosmetics or something stupid.
Yeah. No Marios, no Halos here today.
Nothing that's
I want to avoid franchises
series.
Essentially.
Okay. Yes.
And I'll start it off, and then it'll be Aaron, and then Mike. Mike gets to go last. That's what happens for the guests.
Love it.
So I'm gonna start us off with a game that I never thought I'd talk about on the show. MAG, massive action game for the PlayStation 3.
What the
Do
fuck
any
is
of you
that?
remember MAG?
No, absolutely not.
Yes. It was a PlayStation 3 exclusive that came out in the past. It was 2010. 2010, it came out on the PlayStation 3. This game was ahead of its time and too far in the past at the same exact time. It is a online shooter, a multiplayer shooter that had up to 256 people at the same time.
What the fuck?
I just looked it up. I actually own this game.
Yeah, I did too.
I recognize the cover as being something one of those pictures where you look at it and you're like, name one thing in this picture, and nobody can name any of the things. Yeah, that's the cover of that
chaos.
game.
Yeah, it was 256 players, 8-player squads, 4 squads in a platoon, 4 platoons in a company, and it was just.
Oh my god!
It was just guns. There was no vehicles, no abilities or anything. It was just 256 people on a map running around shooting each other. And it was fun for what it was. It was not better than Call of Duty or Battlefield at the time, but if you wanted a game where it's 250, 60 people running around with friendly fire on, so you could accidentally shoot your
Oh,
teammates,
yes.
you could do it. I say it was ahead of its time because if this game released today, it'd be free to play, obviously, but that didn't really exist back then, so you had to pay full price, and getting people to pay for a multiplayer only thing with a handful of maps is a tough sell. So it shut down after 4 years and never really got much love. But that was a game that existed, and they tried it, it didn't work, and I thought it was pretty fun.
Then, how big were these maps if there were so many goddamn people there?
Pretty big maps. They had just all sorts of. Gosh, I wish I remembered more.
I can't imagine 256 fucking players.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
nuts, dude.
Ridiculous.
And you can never play it again because the servers are offline.
Thank God.
I looked at some screenshots. It reminds me of being really old and playing Battlefield 1942, where you just never knew what was going on. Somebody was flying. There was vehicles, but somebody was flying an airplane. Like somebody was on a little boat slamming into a tree, riding up on the beach, while 3 other people are actually attempting to like complete missions and hold points and things like that. Yeah, I could play that.
remember-
I could see getting into it.
I have one memory from the game, which is when you spawn, it's everyone just in a mass of people. Just they start running, and I wanted to hit the map button, or I don't remember what button I was trying to hit, but I accidentally fired my gun and killed a guy. And he just types in the chat, "What the fuck, man?" I was like, "I'm sorry."
No, like what the fuck, you? Do you walk in front of a loaded weapon? Like what?
Get out of the way of our 130 whatever teammates. Come on, man.
Don't you know how war works? Like, do you think you just like walk around? Like,
Oh my God! You just drop your fucking controller because you're all the Dorito crumbs on your hands. It just slips right out, and you kill
Man.
you kill a whole group of your.
Well, that's
I
also
hate that
war.
stereotype.
Yeah.
I hate that stereotype because I don't like Doritos.
War as hell.
Yeah.
War is Doritos.
Yeah. War is stale Doritos and only on your dominant gaming hand.
Gosh. Well, my first pick is also one that I never thought I'd ever talk about on the show. Voodoo Vince, the original Xbox, but it also got the HD remaster on Xbox One that also plays on Series X and S. Yeah, it's just a cool little 3D platformer. It's like semi-open areas. You'll have to complete these different like main tasks to advance to the next area, and you'll have to do all these little mini tasks that are around the area as well too in order to complete that main task, if that makes any sense. And yeah, there's lots of collectibles. You can get like health upgrades. Going along with its name, there's these different voodoo powers that you can unlock. That's basically when you're all charged up, you can do a voodoo attack to kill like a bunch of enemies in an area, and you'll unlock different voodoo powers. Like you'll have a chainsaw that lops his head off, or like
Nice.
he'll electrocute himself with some jumper cables and a car battery, or like you'll get torn apart with piranhas, and you'll also see the enemies around him be killed in the same way as well too. Like they'll be electrocuted or torn apart by piranhas and stuff. And the whole, I guess, presentation of the game is really Tim Schafer-y, like in like a Psychonauts kind of way. Everybody's like kind of deformed and like goofy looking, and it's all the dialogue is funny and just goofy. And yeah, Voodoo Vince is a fun time. It's a good game.
Why didn't they make more? Aaron?
I didn't look too much into that. I just know that Voodoo Vince is good.
People don't want more Voodoo Vince?
I don't know what the fuck else. I don't know how. I mean, they can make it like a Mario 64 type thing and make a completely open world, I suppose. But I don't know what the fuck they would do with Voodoo Vince 2.
That's a good one. That's a good pick. I like that.
I have a strong
your turn.
aversion to. Well, before we get that, I want to talk about the game.
Okay.
I have only one game on my list actually has jumping. I have a strong aversion to platforming or characters leaving their feet in general, so that's why I didn't play Voodoo Vince. But I do really, really like Xbox 360 is my second favorite system behind Nintendo 64. So I have the end of the Xbox original era and the beginning of the Xbox 360 era as some of my favorite gaming of all time. So that's another game that I own. I have a pretty massive physical collection of games, probably, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 physical games or something like that. But I haven't played more than 20% of them. So when people ask like, what's your greatest game of all time? I'm always like, oh, I don't know. I'll tell you when I play all of them.
Such a tough question.
Well, you can't say unless you play every game, you're just trusting other
That's
people's
true.
opinions, and that's terrible. Like that's one of my biggest That's one of my biggest like internet pet peeves is people taking other people's opinions as like the the gospel
Oh my
instead
gosh.
of playing games for themselves. Like if you can play the game for yourself, don't ever talk to me about it ever.
You're speaking right to my soul. People seeing a 7 out of 10 and getting mad about that number just drives me up a wall.
Oh,
Preach,
yes.
sister.
Yeah. Well, there's like, I don't know, 15,000 games between the top 5 games of all time, which is also according to somebody else, and then absolute unplayable trash. And it's totally okay to, like those games.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's
Like Voodoo
cool to
Vince,
like games.
apparently.
And massive action game.
Yeah, a massive action game.
Holy
All right.
shit.
So my list. I was told to do my research correctly and come up with 6 games. 5 of my games. Nope, sorry, 4 because I don't know how to count. Are all Nintendo 64 because that's my specialty.
Yes.
And then
Beautiful.
And then there's. I mean, I could have added a few more, but and then only one of those games includes jumping, as I just touched on, because jumping is a detriment
sucks.
in video. Yeah, it's the worst part of video games is jumping, leaving your feet. Yeah.
We started at
worst.
Jumpman and it was all downhill from there.
Correct. Yeah, video games digressed the second that Mario had to go over the top of a barrel. We could have just stayed on our feet. Could have always had the hammer, and the game would have been way better. So my first game, yeah, really big insight here coming from this podcast today. So my first game is Jet Force Gemini.
Oh my goodness! Yes, please tell me about this.
So, Rare fans are constantly spouting off about how, there should be a Banjo 3 and Conker's Bad Fur Day, whatever, how many times that game wants to come out, but blah, 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 blah. And, I mean, the real Rare sequels are the ones that were the one-offs. So, Jet Force Gemini, awesome. Third-person shooter, co-op, with a great environment, brand new IP, so you could just do whatever you want with it. You didn't have to stick to any rules of what, like Mario, it's got to follow the canon. It's got to, something's got to be tied in somehow. It was just one game that Rare made completely awesome, and that game was insane to 100%. The difficulty ramped up high at the end. No. So for people that like play Dark Souls games and just talk about how hard games are and that's their entire identity, this game would be great for them because this is the kind of game where you have to play it for hours and hours and hours to finish. And so if they leave that in the sequel, awesome. And it had Mr. Pants, which was Rare's old mascot, the mustache guy with the opposite hourglass shape and pants on all the time. So.
Oh yeah, and weren't the what was it? There were those like collectible like koala people you had to save to 100% the game, and you could accidentally like kill them, couldn't you?
Yeah, the tribals, and you could. Yeah. There was many places where because the game is linear, if you missed one, that was it for 100%ing the game, and if you didn't collect all the tribals, you couldn't fight the last real boss in the game, Mizar, which is also incredibly hard once you actually got there. So, super fun to miss things, have to start the game over, finally complete it, and then get your ass handed to you by the final boss repeatedly until you finally beat it, and then put the game away and never touch it again.
Yuck.
Beautiful.
That game, it was on one of the covers of the 5 Nintendo Powers I had when I was a kid, and then I forgot it existed for decades, and then for the last month, Twitter has just been showing me nothing but Jet Force Gemini stuff. It's like every day I just scroll and someone's like, remember Jet Force Gemini? I'm like, yes, I remember it now. It's back in my brain.
Well, if you have to play it on current gens, it's on Rare Replay, and it actually plays really well on there if you have an Xbox or however else. So, and that's actually a really good place for a lot of these Rare games that people complain about, because there's Conkers is on there. There's like Battletoads and stuff, but then from N64, there's also Blast Corps. And lots of fun.
That's what I was going to say. Blast Corps and Viva Pinata. That's not N64.
Yep.
But
I love really Viva Pinata.
Yeah,
my original brother. 360 still has a Viva Pinata faceplate on it, and I refuse to take it off of there.
I wouldn't.
Oh, that's awesome.
I would marry that faceplate.
No. Well, if you feel like it's true love, I've got 2 of them in case the first one broke, so I could always mail you one.
Oh, I don't
Yes.
own an N64 anymore.
Which pinata
Xbox
is your favorite?
360.
Oh, haha.
Which pinata is my favorite? I don't
Yeah.
know. I
Oh
have
my
no
gosh,
idea. The
That's
probably the fox raccoon cross with the long snout that's orange and whatever white on the ears. That's pretty fun. I mean, just the pinata looking pinata is fun too.
true.
I don't know. All of the bird ones ended up being because they were the most chaotic in the series. Like they would fly in and then they'd refuse to fly for the rest of the time and just bounce in and out of the map or sit right on the lip of the area where you have cultivated for them and just stare. So birds.
I just want to say, I knew that Viva Pinata was Xbox games. My brains were still on Jet Force Gemini. I thought that's what we were talking about. I didn't think it was an
Do you remember Jet
N64
Force
game.
Gemini?
Vaguely. Okay. Is it my turn again?
Yes, sir. Yes, chef.
Hey, do you guys remember Deadly Creatures for the Nintendo Wii?
What?
Deadly Creatures.
I feel like I have to have my phone open the whole time. All right.
Aaron, don't look it up. So
I'm doing it.
This is a video game where players play as a tarantula and a scorpion, and it's like you just go from level to level, go around like fighting other bugs and animals and snakes and stuff. And
This sounds
get
awesome.
this. No, there's more. The 2 humans, because you're like you go in and out of a house and around an area stuff. The 2 humans are voiced by Dennis Hopper and Billy Bob Thornton.
Oh my fucking god, yes.
They're at a location in the desert where they believe gold from the American Civil War has been buried. And you play as a tarantula and a spider, or a tarantula and a scorpion, and you go around. It's a Nintendo Wii game, so you got to do the Wii motion. So you like do the motion to do your little scorpion stab, or you use it to dodge and stuff. It's really dumb. Why does this game exist? Who wanted to do this, and why is Dennis Hopper and Billy Bob Thornton involved?
Isn't
Is there jumping?
Yeah, there's jumping, but you use the
Okay,
Wii,
I'm not interested then.
you
Carry
use
on.
the Wiimote.
Mike's
jump.
out? Well, isn't this the best one-off games?
Yes.
Yeah, what I want to know what your selections are. Where are these coming from?
You said if it's the best, how do you not like it? I don't understand.
He's just making good content.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot to say about it. I just think it's a master. It's wonderful that this exists, and I can't believe that there wasn't a Deadly Creatures too.
You really can't believe that?
It's stunning. It is a serious crime against humanity.
You can just go watch Japanese bug fights or whatever on YouTube. Like,
But I can't be the bug. I gotta be the bug.
That's true. Or Billy Bob Thornton at the very least. I bet it was a pain in the ass to try to get him on set for that fucking game every day. Be like, Billy Bob, we need you to record these voice lines. Put the flask down. God damn it. Put down those chairs right now, Billy Bob.
I don't have a Billy Bob Thornton impression, but I'm sure it was something about how it was arachnids instead of bugs. So.
Okay, I never got this far, but
What the fuck is an arachnid?
I'm reading the plot. I'm reading the plot. Meanwhile, the scorpion finds its way into Struggs, who is voiced by Dennis Hopper, gas station, and battles him by repeatedly stinging his crotch.
Nice.
Yeah.
Video games.
Oh, yeah.
Get fucked, Dennis Hopper.
I like that somebody sat down and wrote that. Not only did they write it for the plot of the game, but then a second person had to write the synopsis of the game and talk about the crotch a second time in a gas station.
Do you think Dennis Hopper, do you think Billy Bob Thornton has any memory of doing this?
He was blackout drunk every single day for this fucking game, I bet, dude. It's Billy Bob Thornton, man.
Yeah, I would love to get like an over-under betting line on how many years that Billy Bob Thornton can remember one event from that calendar year.
Oh my god, dude. Like, I bet for Bad Santa and maybe Bad Santa 2, he had to be like... He had to be so in character that he got blackout drunk for those as well, too.
In character.
Yeah, that movie was actually a documentary. Like...
My favorite documentary.
A Day in the Life of Billy Bob Thornton. He's pissing himself at the mall and shit.
Yeah, it was one of those Where Are They Now specials, and then they just turned it into a movie with a sequel.
It's just Billy Bob's body in a fucking ditch. Holy fuck. Speaking of ditches, my next game I wanted to talk about is Contact for the DS.
Oh yeah,
Woo!
Contact.
Mike, you remember Contact, right? There's no jumping.
I have not played it though, so carry on. Educate
Okay.
me.
Shit. Okay. Well, yeah, Contact is a really weird game. So it's the scientist guy, his ship crash lands on this planet. He loses all of his energy cells or some shit. Like they get scattered across the world for whatever reason. So has this kid named Terry. He's like, "Hey Terry, help me get my energy cells back." And Terry's like, "Duh, okay." And then he and then you go as Terry travel around the world in this sailboat, and you go collect his energy cells and all that shit. What's really cool though is like the instead of the usual DS shenanigans where it's like the touch screen is the map or inventory or like the top screen is whatever. The top screen is instead this like 16-bit like almost Earthbound esque style because it's got like
Mm-hmm.
the professor in his lab with his little dog, and they'll give you like little tips every now and again, or like you'll see his dog sleeping and the professor's just reading a book or something stupid. But on the bottom screen, Terry's just getting his fucking shit rocked. Like he's fighting scorpions and like desperados and shit. It's kind of cool and weird. Like the combat is almost like Final Fantasy 12 or Xenoblade Chronicles, where it's like you push a button to enter combat mode, and then he'll attack on his own every so often. And the skill progression is kind of like the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. So like as you attack with like say a knife, your knife skill will go up, or
Mm.
if you take damage, his like defense or HP will go up, or stuff like that. And then there's different costumes you can unlock for Terry. Like there's like a chef outfit that increases his cooking skill, obviously, but it makes him better with like knives and gives him exclusive knife attacks. And there's like a scuba diver outfit. No, that's like an Eskimo outfit makes him better with like water magic or something stupid. And it's Contact.
Neat.
Yeah,
I wonder where they got the idea for that use-based RPG level up mechanic. Like maybe there was like another game that came out years before where you ran and you leveled up your agility, or when you used magic and you leveled up your magic.
Who could know?
I remember playing Oblivion and trying to. There was a really fucking stupid way to max out your agility skill. You just basically tied a rubber band around your controller, so your control stick was always going forward, and your character would just run like all the
Yeah,
time. Even
yeah,
if
I've
you're
heard that about a game.
even if you were stuck like on a wall and just like running indefinitely, like forever, you'd still level it up, and it's stupid, but hey, there you go.
You're talking about Oblivion when you're talking about that?
Yeah, did I say
Yeah.
Skyrim?
No, you didn't, but that's
Okay.
one of the most popular things about my game choice,
Ooh,
Tell me.
which
Tell me.
is it's Quest 64. All the things I was talking about was Quest 64
yes.
things.
Yes.
I was,
Is it really?
Every single thing you just
Okay.
said, between like using your weapons and then immediately gaining skill points, not at the end of battle, but during battle, and tying your rubber band to your N64 joystick to level your agility by running into the walls, all happened a decade before Oblivion on
Wow.
a Nintendo 64 game, uh, lost in history. It's Quest 64.
I'm so
Yeah,
excited. I know
fuck
I know
Oblivion.
nothing about Quest 64 except for what I read in my Nintendo Power magazine, which I've forgotten over the years.
And the memes that I've
And the
retweeted
memes.
over and over. That shit kills me.
Yeah. Yeah, they're good, but they're just to get you to play the game. So now, like, if you like all those memes, you should go pop the game and then play it.
I'll go get it. I'm gonna see how much it is right now. You tell me all about it, and I'll go see how much it is.
It's about $19, like
Oh,
loose.
it's
It's
not
not a
bad
very
at all.
expensive. No, it's a super cheap game, or you just emulate it. But it emulates kind of poorly, like everything else on the system. But yeah, Quest 64. That's a really good game. I've heard that from so many people that they enjoy Quest 64 and how great of a game it is. And definitely not my own personal opinion about my favorite game of all time, but all of the other opinions that have transpired over the last, 2 decades about how excellent the game is, and definitely not people like Pro Jared that have talked about how terrible it is and have run its name into the ground and now appears on every chat GPT list of the worst games of all time and blah, 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 and all that stuff. So, no, really, really good game for that. What you talked about, the battle system was innovative, And the level up system was use based and intuitive, and it had some of the best music on the system, and the graphics were pleasant. And it was open world concept where you could just run around between the towns. There was, no loading screens except when you went through a door, but it was instantaneous because it's not disc based because it's Nintendo 64. So all my
That's
favorite
awesome.
things in games: no jumping, and a big bright open world with great music. That's like all the boxes for me.
Was the combat like, was it like Contact where he just attacks every so often, or do you actually like push a button and he'll attack or something?
No, it's still turn-based, so you select your attack and you have to do it. But then while the enemies are, you get to see what attack they're doing. It says the name of the attack. But you're in a little hexagon or a circle if you're playing the Japanese version, L-Tail Monsters. And then you can physically avoid the attacks by running away from the polygons, like the hit areas of the attack. So
Oh.
you can skill-based avoid attacks by being faster than the attacks or knowing what direction they're coming from.
That is fucking awesome.
It
Hell yeah.
is.
So I feel like you are an expert enough to answer this. Why isn't there more Quest 64 in the world?
Because there isn't enough money pumped into it. There's not a good answer. They made a demake of it on the Game Boy Color called Brian's Journey. So it's a 2D, it's the exact same game. It's the same story, same battle system, all that stuff. But it looks like, every other 2D Game Boy RPG you've played. So it lost all of its charm and all the things that I thought was great about the N64 game, but it is probably the superior version of the game because they cleaned up the combat, they added additional story elements and things like that, and that game made zero monies. And then they released. Have you ever played Mr. Do?
I've heard a lot about Mr. Do from a podcaster I listened to.
It plays kind of like the original Dig Dug. It's a lot of vertical up and down, and you can drop items on enemies by digging underneath them. That kind of puzzle based Anyway, they made Quest Fantasy Challenge, and they literally just took Mr. Do, the exact game, and added Quest sprites to it, and then called it a Quest game. And that game also made zero monies. So after you make an N64 game that was only kind of popular, and then 2 zero money games, you tend to give up on the franchise. So that's why it hasn't.
Understandable.
Damn it.
I just went and checked with my wife, and this is a game that she played on the Nintendo 64 when she was a child. Do we want to get her take on Quest 64?
Do
Yeah.
we?
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude.
I just want to clarify again because it's not going to be positive. Is that okay?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Hold on one second.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
all. Okay, so, do I introduce myself?
Yes,
Yeah, go for it.
absolutely.
Okay, hi, I'm Jessica. I'm Tommy's wife. Anyway, so, Quest 64, I didn't even know what the game was called until now. I just have, it was probably one of my family's, first video game experience. I know, embarrassing. To this day, I have no idea what the game is about, but all I remember is, and my brother just told me, he's like, well, remember, we were kids. So I don't want to, bash the game, but unless it is bashable. But
It's
was
not. Please continue.
okay. It was hard. I don't know. You were this little boy, and you had a stick. I want to say it was like a cane. So now I think about it, maybe he was a wizard. I don't know.
You've gotten 1,000 so far. Completely accurate. Keep going.
Oh, okay, good. I guess you were a little wizard boy, and he would I don't know. You would, I don't know what's this word. You would thump your stick on the ground. It was caused powers, I guess. And there's wolves, and you go into this wilderness, and you didn't really have a map unless we just didn't know what the map button was.
There's no map. You're correct.
Oh my gosh!
You are still bad in the thought. Just, I need you to keep going forever, please.
It was, we died a lot. And to this game, I don't know how it ends. I know at one point we thought we got far, but we probably weren't, because eventually we fought things that weren't just wolves. But yeah.
So 20 minutes into the game, yep.
Oh, okay, then that's all we got. I think there was a castle from what I remember, but
multiple castles. Yeah, you are like a historian of this game. I could listen to you for hours.
Oh, thank you. But anyway, no. Yeah, that's all I really know about the game. I didn't even know what it was called, and I kept describing it to Tommy. I was like, it was this terrible game. The little boy with brown hair, he had like a blue cape and a wooden stick that he walked around, and big shoes. He had. That's all I
Oh, that could be anything. That could have been Kingdom Hearts
Other
almost.
than
Oh,
other than terrible game, you just are just killing this right
Wait,
now.
so are you saying it was a good game?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is a good game.
It is
Yeah.
a good game? What part?
My entire existence is based around Quest 64 being my favorite game of all time. So you've stumbled
Oh
into
my
the
gosh,
correct
please don't
place
tell
here.
me you created the game. Are you the creator of the game?
I am not the creator of the game because I'm probably about the same age as you, and that would have meant I made it when I was in my early teens. So.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, okay. So what? Can you tell
Yeah,
me what the game is about? Because
I
unless
can.
unless you guys already did that, so my apologies. Because I'm
Well,
literally
I've
just
told a
sitting here
million
playing
people what the
Overwatch.
game is about, so Yeah, it's about Brian. That's the guy with the big shoes and the cane.
He has a
And
name?
his name is Brian. Yep.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Or it's Jean Jacques if you're playing the Japanese version, or it's or no, Jean Jacques is the European version. Holy Magic Century is that, and then Aaron is the other version. So, but yeah, Brian in the United States, and he goes off to find his father, who went to find the Eltail book, which is a mystical tome that's used to encapsulate the bad guy Mammon, who is one of the brothers of hell,
Oh my
reigns
gosh.
over
I
the
thought he
fourth
was
circle
looking
of
for
hell.
like a girl.
No, there's no girl. There's no love interest. There's
Oh, see, that's why I
there's
just
nothing to distract Brian from just absolutely dominating the entire world for the next 15 to 20 hours based on your skill level, which, as you've now professed, is probably not high when you were a child. So.
yeah, no. Mm-mm.
Do you have any other Quest 64 questions that I can answer for you while you're here?
Okay. Uh, did he ever find his dad?
Yeah, but because of the translation, so his name is Bartholomew, and when you pass him later, he calls him Mr. Bart because in the translation between the Japanese and the North American release, they apparently skipped the whole part where that's his dad and you see him. So he just says, "Oh, something along the lines of Mr. The dialogue comes up and it says Mr. Bart, and he's just sitting in the corner in Mammon's realm, and they never acknowledge that that's his father. So yeah, you do find him."
Oh, okay. Well, huh. Yeah, I don't know. At one point, I don't know. Again, we didn't know what we were supposed to be doing, but also I
Mhm.
don't know. Okay, I don't know if Tommy's ever mentioned this, but so as his wife, video games I hate is a lot of reading. I like to skip. I skip tutorials. I skip reading the dialogue. So maybe it told you that's what you're supposed to be
Well,
doing,
nope.
but I
Good
never read
news.
it.
There's no tutorial in this game whatsoever. They just drop you in the game, so you didn't skip that. And the game is notoriously low on any sort of story or dialogue, which is another thing that people like to complain about. So this game sounds like it was probably your favorite game of all time, and you just didn't play it for long enough.
Oh man, dang it! I should have given it. Man, babe, we gotta go rebuy this game.
Okay.
I got.
Yes, you do. Maybe I'll just mail you guys a copy. It's not a big deal.
He'll mail us a copy.
Yeah, no big deal.
Okay, I'm gonna give the. Yeah, thanks for having me. Sorry if I insulted your favorite game.
You didn't. You did
Okay,
great.
perfect. Okay.
Bye, Jessica.
See you later.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
Hi.
I hope that was
Hi.
okay.
That's going to be the highlight of this episode. I guarantee it.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was still Mike's turn. Yeah. Did you have anything else about Quest 64 you want to toss in the ring?
Yeah, I have like about 55 pages of stuff wrote about Quest 64, but if you want to make this a single episode podcast, we should probably move on at some point.
Okay. Okay.
If you
I'm
want to
best.
swing back around to more Quest later, I'm absolutely ready.
If there's time. It's my favorite. Okay, I've got. Speaking of games, you mentioned this when I was still here. Speaking of games that had a portable version, a surprising portable version, I want to talk about Spore, baby.
Oh.
Spore.
Right on.
Spore for the PlayStation, or not the PlayStation, the personal computer.
Personal computer.
Your dog hates Spore, dude.
It really does. He's like, he's talking about Spore again. Stop it. I actually did love Spore. I played a ton of Spore. If you listeners don't know what Spore is, it's a video game where it's essentially like almost 5 games in one. You start off as a single cell creature going around the it's like a 2D where you move around and eat food and try and grow bigger than the other single cell organisms around you, and then you evolve into you crawl onto land, and then it's like a more of a live combat thing where you go around with your buddies creatures, and you just keep evolving as you keep playing and changing, and you grow more parts, and you can completely customize your little creature however you want. The customization is genuinely insane for the time. And eventually it gets to the point where you evolve to be civilization. It's like a civilization game where you go to wars with other creatures that have achieved civilizations, and then you go to space and you go to other planets, and it's crazy.
So this is the first game that I actually have some knowledge about. Can before we get any deeper, can I point
Yeah.
out that there was like, to my knowledge,
Uh-huh.
6 Spore games.
What do you
So
mean?
to say that it didn't get there's Spore, which
Uh-huh.
is what you're talking about, right? There's
Yeah.
Spore Creatures, which was the DS version that I
Yep.
played, but there was also like Spore Creatures Hero, Spore Creatures Galactic Edition, like all these other. There's plenty
Holy
more. They added a bunch onto this game, dude.
Yeah. This was the one that I was hesitant about because of all those spin-off thingies. And if you think it shouldn't count, I will abide by that. But I
No,
thought
but-
that the spirit of it is that they like just never made another one. They never made like a follow-up to the main Spore game is kind of crazy with how much hype there was leading up to it, and how much it does and how much more it could do, like given the time and resources is crazy to me.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
The first one I played was actually the Hero Arena one, which was just
Whoa.
the battle part. But that was on DS. I don't remember how much long, probably 2 or 3 years after the first one, maybe 2
Mhm.
years. I don't know. But yeah, there's a lot of Spore games. I would take
Yeah.
that many Spore games of Quest if they would just make a bunch of weird spin-offs of Quest.
And Spore is just so cool because it's another one of those games that like is I don't want to. There's almost no game that's like truly unique. But what other game can you start as a single cell creature and evolve up to space travel and going from planet to planet? And it had this really cool thing where the universe was populated with other people's creatures and other people's spaceships, because you
That's
could make
cool.
spaceships and land vehicles and stuff. It was legitimately insane for the time.
That is insane. Well, my next pick is definitely not as in depth as that, I guess. But I was gonna go
Good.
with I was gonna go with Jeanne d'Arc on the PSP,
Oh.
or Jeanne d'Arc. I don't know how you say it, but yeah, it's like a little turn-based tactics RPG for the PSP, based on the tale of Joan of Arc or all that stuff. But yeah, it's cool because like you can give certain characters like a little armband thing, and that'll give them like a little transformation that they can they transform into like a, I guess, like a magical girl style form during combat. But then they can, like, if they kill an enemy, they'll get an extra turn, or like you can have other like special effects on it. And yeah, it'd be cool if they would port it to modern systems, because it really doesn't need to be just on the PSP. But it's a really fun game. It's just a tactics RPG with Joan of Arc and all those kinds of characters, and it's dark and it's cool.
What more could you want in a game?
Exactly.
Are all those things that you talked about, like the armbands and the anime transformations, was that all pulled directly out of history from Joan of Arc's? Like,
bet.
I have to assume so.
You bet your
I-
ass it was.
I trust you because I haven't played it, so I'm 100% on board with history being like that.
I wish.
Yeah.
Yes, that has to be. That has to be. How else did it get so famous?
Yeah,
That makes sense. I don't think anyone else could argue that point.
Yeah, zero argument here. I'm just sad that we lost that armband technology along the way and went back to being normal humans.
I know.
Sucks.
I wish I could
Sucks.
kill an enemy and immediately get an extra turn. Whatever. Like smash an ant.
I don't get any
and then-
extra turns when I kill an enemy.
Right? Man.
What about you, Mike?
I guess it's me again. This is the first time I'm going to depart away from the N64. The game that when people bring this up, so when I got the message from you guys saying we had to do this, outside of Quest 64, the game that always comes to mind for me is Untitled Goose Game. And I know that's like really recent, like, because that was what, 2010, 2009? It couldn't have been that long ago, I don't feel like.
Untitled Goose Game?
Your sense of
I'm
time
sorry,
is
no,
a bit
I'm
off.
sorry. 2019,
2019.
not 10. So 2020,
Holy
2019.
shit,
So
dude.
like whatever, 5 years ago or whatever it was.
Mhm,
Sorry, I
mhm.
just said the wrong one. But yeah, outside of N64, uh, that game, it was a goddamn masterpiece. Not only like was it short and to the point, so you didn't have a bunch of like meaningless puzzles because it was only like 5 or 10 hours long. But that soundtrack by Dan Goulding was like my favorite music of the last, I don't know, 5 or 10 years in video games. It's like everything I wish would happen in my life, that somebody would follow me around with like an old timey piano and play a music that was slightly more dramatic every time I got into a hairy situation, or like if I did something really mischievous, like it would be, like I was like, yeah, that's what I was talking about. That's what I was trying to do. That's the kind of world chaos that I want to be involved in. And the puzzle mechanics are great. And then later on, for just no reason, they dropped a 2-player add-on to it for free, and then you got to play the whole game as two geese, which just made it even more crazy. And like, what else could you want? Like, other than to be loud and cause havoc? That's the best kind of video games. That's how everybody should be living their life.
Just honking at people.
That's-
Honk.
Yeah.
That's how I experienced the game, was 2 players. I played it with my brother-in-law, and even just controlling the goose is so fun because they put way too much thought into how you could run around as a goose. You can put your wings up and run at people, and you can flap, and it's just, I loved being a goose and just messing with people.
And you get a honk at him, Tommy.
Yeah, they took their inspiration from Super Mario 64 as well when they were building the game, and the goose was just something like a meme. It was just a generic picture of a clip art goose that they kept sending to each other when things were going wrong on other games that they were doing, or just for random reasons they would send a goose to each other. And then they figured out that there was legs in a game that has a goose as a protagonist. Then they couldn't figure out what to do with it, so they just kept doing goose things, and it kept getting better. And then they didn't have a game name, so then they just went with Untitled Goose Game. It's like the perfect combination of ways that games shouldn't be built and then them succeeding. Awesome.
Was there
Absolutely.
jumping in that game?
I don't
No.
think so.
Geese
Beautiful.
can't jump.
Beautiful. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Duh. What am I thinking? There's no geese in the NBA.
No, geese never
Yeah.
leave their feet. The second that they do, they flip over upside down and immediately perish. So.
Holy shit. Oh boy. Is it I think we're about halfway. Should we do an ad break, Tommy?
Yeah, we should do an ad break. Let's do an ad break.
Okay. We'll be right back. This episode is brought to you today by our superstar patrons, a novel console, Jared and Jameson. Your generosity clearly knows no limits, and we can't thank you enough. Tommy and I will pray to your names every morning, noon, and night. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hey, superstars. Are you a coffee addict looking for your next big caffeine fix? Or are you just tired of all the normal boring coffee options out there now? Well, you need to check out Bones Coffee. Bones Coffee has lots of different varieties of coffee flavors. They've got things like red velvet, cookies and cream, s'mores. They've got one that's called Jamaican Me Crazy that's really good. It's like caramel vanilla rum kind of thing. But they also have just your usual, salted caramel and French vanilla and all that stuff. They even have decaf and what's called high voltage, which is just extra strength. And they've also got espresso. They've got all sorts of cool stuff. Plus, if you use coupon code SuperPodSaga at checkout, you'll get 20% off of your order. And again, that's SuperPodSaga at checkout to get 20% off. You can also follow the link in our episode description. And yeah, why not? Use that one-time coupon code. Like I said, 20% off. It's great. Just head over to bonescoffee.com. Get yourself some coffee, some cool gear like mugs or French press kits, stuff like that. Check it out. Okay, bye. Coming this fall to theaters. It's a man, and he's just a regular man by day. But then one night he got into an accident with a boat, and now at nighttime he turns into a boat. And this man who turns into a boat, he solves all sorts of maritime aquatic crimes because he's a boat detective, man. That's right. Coming this fall, I can't do that voice anymore. It's starting to hurt. Coming this fall. I said to theaters, but it's also coming to NBC.
Peacock? Is it coming to Peacock?
Yeah, you bet your ass. It's Detective Boatman on NBC and theaters, I guess, and Peacock. Tommy, help me out, please.
It's one of those things where he's the only man for the job. The CIA FBI is like, the criminals, they're on an island and we can only walk. What are we gonna do? Boom! Out of some boxes flies up Detective Boatman, and he's like, honk! And then they jump on him and they go, we gotta play good cop, bad boat. Can you do that? And he goes, honk!
Yeah, he's got one of those Ooga horns on him. He's we don't have time to wait for the Coast Guard. Don't worry, I've got this. And he just leaps into the water, and then there's like a Transformers and transforms. Mike, what do you think?
No, my favorite part of that show is how he constantly gets irritated with people mispronouncing his name because it's not Boatman, it's Boatman, like his previous last name previous to the accident.
That's right.
Ironically, because he's always been Mr. Boatman.
Yeah, he's always loved boats, but now he has become what he loves the most, a boat. He solves all sorts of aquatic maritime crimes like pirates.
He's a master of disguise. If you need him to put big sunglasses on, he can do it, and you won't even recognize him.
It's just a boat with a tiny pair of sunglasses up on the mast or something.
Wait till we get 1 mile offshore, where there are no laws, Mr. Boatman.
They put a pistol on the side.
Holy shit! There's other cops riding on them.
Yeah. Just a really long waiting pause while they drive far enough off of the land to get out in the international waters so they can finish the job.
Yeah, they got to feed him gasoline when he's in his boat form, but then when he goes into like human form too quickly, he's vomiting up gallons of gasoline. I don't know what the fuck this show is anymore. Coming
Tune
this
in.
Fall.
8 Eastern, 7
Yeah,
Central.
coming to Peacock. It's an official endorsement from NBC that this show is something that they are 100% behind.
and endorsed by boats. The official boat
boats
endorsement. Yes.
Yeah.
They float.
Official boatman of boats.
Holy shit.
Boy.
I think we're back.
We're back.
That's it.
Whose turn is it?
You.
Me?
Wait. Yeah, Mike just went.
Mike
Yeah.
just went, so it's me. Okay. I want to talk about the return of the Obra Dinn, another newer game.
Ooh, that's the one with the really, really cool art style, isn't it? It's like all 8-bit, but like, yeah.
It's the first thing he did, Lucas Pope was the developer, was he made the engine himself. Like before he even knew what game he wanted to make, he was like, I want to make an engine that can make a game that looks like this. And then he built everything around it after that. But Return of the Obra Dinn is a video game that takes place in 1802 or so. You play as an insurance inspector, an insurance adjuster, which is
Nice.
super exciting.
Love
The boat, the
insurance.
Obra Dinn, appeared back in shore, and everyone on board is dead. And you, as the insurance adjuster, have to figure out how everyone died to decide how much the insurance is going to pay out to the families. Which, doesn't that just sound like a fun time?
Absolutely.
What makes it fun is you get this weird little stopwatch thing that sends you back in time into a freeze frame of when each person died, so you can see how they died. And as you go back in time to each person's death, you get more and more of the story of what happened to the ship and what happened to all these people and why they're all dead. And it's so cool and such a fun experience to learn piece by piece what's happening, and you've got your little notebook that you actually have to flip through and write down who died from what and how. And I don't think there shouldn't ever be a sequel because it's perfect just as it is. It's a game where you're an insurance adjuster and you solve the thing, and like, what, you can't do that again. You can't go back to that. It's so cool.
That's
right guys?
That
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the Echo Knight series on like the PS1 and shit, because like you're what is it? The first one, you're on this ship that vanished in some time, and then you're talking to ghosts, and you're like help them move, like pass on or move on or whatever the fuck. That kind of sounds like that almost.
Yeah, this game reminds me of Yakusho 2 on the Nintendo 64, a game that nobody talks about. It's the only text-based adventure game on the Nintendo 64, and it was
Whoa.
Japan only. But it is a psychological thriller horror game where you investigate a spooky boat, and that's
Yay.
the whole thing is text-based. But pretty much the same sort of plot, minus the insurance adjusting in 18th century families.
Not to spoil it, but even at the end, like as the credits are going, it shows how much money each family gets based on your investigation. They took this insurance thing like super realistic. I love it.
But I like how fitting that we went from a boat ad to a boat
I know.
game.
It's perfect. It was meant to be.
Well,
man,
Untitled boat
imagine
show.
if Boatman was in this game. This wouldn't even be a game. Boatman would jump onto the boat and just solve it instantly. He'd be like, "Oh, this guy got stabbed by a pike. This guy got stabbed by the captain. Mystery solved."
Yeah, and then you just spit carburetor fluid everywhere, and that would be the whole half of the episode.
He attempts to jump into the boat, but he accidentally transforms into a boat and smashes the other boat and fucking murders everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man. Moving on to a game that has 0 boats. We're going with Eternal
Dang it.
Sonata.
Discounted them. We don't care anymore. This is all boat show now.
Shit.
All boat.
We're an all boat
Super
podcast
Boat
now.
Saga.
Jesus Christ. Eternal Sonata, though, holy cow! It's came out on the 360 and was eventually ported to the PS3, and the PS3 got like 2 exclusive characters, but they were already in the game. You just couldn't play as them on the 360 version. Anyway, it follows. So the famous composer Frederick Chopin, he's dying, and the whole world of the game is his dream. Basically, you're in this like dream world. All the characters that you can play as are different, like I guess music words. Holy shit, I forget what their names are. There's like Beat and a few others, but I think one of the characters actually is Chopin. Actually, oh yeah, and then there's polka and stuff like that too. But anyway, the combat is really cool because it's almost I get like almost a turn-based strategy kind of thing, because you'll have a certain amount of time each turn to like move a character, and of course you gotta be close to an enemy to attack it unless they have like a ranged weapon equipped, and like you'll attack an enemy and you'll add to your echoes gauge, I think is what it was called, or echo gauge, and then if you used an ability, you would use up some of the echoes and it would do extra damage or heal more HP and stuff like that. And it's just a really cool and colorful game. There's lots of like different optional dungeons that you can go through, and Eternal Sonata, for some fucking reason, has still never been made backwards compatible on Xbox One or Series X or whatever, so it's still stuck on the 360. But I made sure to buy a goddamn copy of that game just in case before it shot up in price, because it's so much fun, and the story is like it's this world where or I guess in the world, the dream world of the game, whatever, people who are dying develop the ability to use magic. So one of the main characters, I think Polka, she develops the ability to use magic, but she has like this illness that's slowly killing her, and I forget whatever the fuck the rest of the story was about because I played it like a long time ago, but it's really cool, really awesome.
It sounds really cool. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, thank
It
you.
is very cool and awesome. I can agree with both those things.
No boats though, so like 7 out of 10.
Do you jump?
Yeah.
Yes.
You do jump. Okay, well, it's dropping fast.
Wait.
Yeah, that's why I got a 7.
Do you jump in Eternal Sonata? I don't remember.
There's attacks that jump because it's an RPG, but I don't remember actually jumping while you're playing the game. But still, just the inclusion of those jumps is 1 point off of the 10 out of 10, and then 0 boats takes 2 additional points out of 10.
Yes. I love how complicated this is getting. Just like insurance.
Yeah,
Mike,
exactly.
please tell me you have a boat game next.
I don't, but I actually have a 360 exclusive, well, mostly exclusive, because they end up being, but RPG too, that's in the same vein, Resonance of Fate. If you've never played Resonance of
yes,
Fate,
I have.
it's amazing.
That game is fucking awesome.
I haven't.
Yeah. Yeah, I do have it. But so the reason I got into this game was, once again, they have a battle system. So the game was developed by Tri-Ace, and they use a tri-attack system, which is a combination of turn-based and real-time attacking, which feels a lot like Quest 64 to me. I don't know where they got their inspiration for that from, but I mean, it probably was Quest 64 if I was going to guess anything. But more importantly, about the actual game. So it's a role-playing game, like you said about Tri-Ace. But it's post-apocalyptic. The world's being destroyed by pollution, yada, yada, yada. The city that you do the overworld in is like a large hexagon-based thing, and you uncover parts of it as you gain experience and progress through the game. So you have to choose what parts of the levels of the city you unlock next, and that decides what parts of the game you get to play next. So it's not really linear. You get to play it as you want. And the most iconic thing from this game is the way that you level up your guns. I'm sure that Tri-Ace wasn't thinking about this when they did the system, but you get a grid. So you get a like 16 by 16 grid, and the regular. So if you have a Glock, like it takes up, it takes up like two spaces in one direction, one space in another direction, and then you can add things to it like a sight or a magazine. But what people figured out is that there's connection points on these things. So on the bottom of a magazine is another connection point. So you have one connection point on top to the gun, and then a loose one on the bottom. So the most fun thing to do in this game is to fill up your entire grid with 13 magazines attached to like 42 sights, and all attached to a single pistol. So you just have this big, instead of having a gun that like looks like a gun on the screen, you just have this square of additions onto this tiny little pistol. But the abilities all stacked. So whatever extended magazine or whatever abilities were in that magazine stacks onto the next magazine and the next one and the next one. So the game became, for me, a race to see what stupid gun I could make and how I could ruin the game by filling up the gun system with as many add-ons as possible. And it was amazing. Not just the gun system, but the entire game was really incredible.
That sounds wonderful.
But no jumping and no boats.
Jumping no
Hold
boats.
on.
1 plus
just a
1
sec.
minus.
Hold on. You do jump in that game. I'm fairly certain. 'Cause you can jump and shoot people.
Well, yeah, but that's part of, once again, it's in the combat. So as long as I don't have to physically do a platform,
there's no jump button.
That makes sense. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I liked that there were different kinds of guns you could use in that game too. You'd also have like SMGs. Of course, they weren't as accurate and stuff like that. And the combat was, it was like almost like a turn-based strategy game kind of, because you had like this line where your character runs and you didn't want to like leave them out in the open after they like ran and like shot a dude in the face and only did like 2 damage and then would just fucking die next turn. Yeah, the combat was kind of difficult to learn, but yeah, that is a damn good game. That is fun.
Yeah, and they had a part of that system was, so you could see you ended up with 3 main characters. So you could see the lines on the battlefield of where you were trying to move each character before they went, and if you crossed 2 of them, then it was, you could do a combo attack, and if you crossed 3 people's lines, you could do a tri attack, which was pretty awesome.
That does sound awesome. Let's see. Okay, this game definitely does not have jumping. There are also no boats though, so not.
Damn
not
it.
Do either of you know of a game called The Beginner's Guide?
No, sir.
I remember the actual book, like The Beginner's Guide.
Definitely unrelated.
It was like Beginner's Guide to Survival.
No, I'm sorry, this is different.
Oh, okay.
This is a game that came out in 2015, again for PC only. It was a follow-up from one of the Stanley Parable developers. It was only one of them, so it's not like an official lineage. Well, it's not even related at all, but I just, anyways, how do I explain this game? The developer, his name is Davey Redden, I want to say is how it's pronounced. He narrates the game. He met another developer named Coda in a game jam in 2009, and according to Davey, this Coda person never released a game, but his ideas were super duper incredible, and like he was an amazing game developer and stuff. So this game, The Beginner's Guide, starts with Davey just kind of showing you some of the stuff that Coda had made. Like there's a mod for a map in Counter-Strike Go and it eventually
Yes.
he shows his own stuff, and it's just like trying to show all these things that like Coda made. He's like, here's why this is cool, here's why this is a cool technique, here's a cool puzzle, whatever. And as you go on, the narrator gets kind of like more obsessive with Coda and what he's done and stuff. And I'm gonna spoil the end. I hope that's okay for everyone,
Yeah, that's
because
fine.
you kind of
No,
Is there a
perfect.
boat?
no boats. Um, by the end, the boat appears. No, I'm kidding. And he gets more obsessive about Coda, and like he eventually reveals that like his attempts to show Coda's work didn't extend to like just this. Like he submitted Coda's work to game jams just to show people that his work was appreciated and he should finish his stuff. And he was like, dude, that's not cool. And like it eventually got into some like real world turmoil and stuff, and Coda stopped talking to him. And so the narrator reveals that he's releasing this to try and get in contact with Coda to apologize. And the narrator starts freaking out, and he's just like, I just need to apologize, you just need to understand, I didn't mean for this to happen. And he just like goes off and stuff. And then the game ends as he's like, if you can find him, tell him to email me at this email. And it's just crazy stuff. And like it blurs the lines of what's real and what's not, because you're like, is this a real thing that is going on? Like there was even a review from Destructoid where the person was like, if this is like nonfiction, then this is obviously like stealing someone's work and trying to sell it for a profit, and you need to refund it through Steam.
Yeah. That's that what you're talking about right there is the only reason I remember this game was how
Yeah.
polarizing the
Hmm.
reviews were, because it was either people like loved it as a work of art
Yep.
and were giving it like 8, 9, 10 out of 10, and then other people were like, it feels like the narrative is being forced on you, and I don't know if this is actually a game or
Absolutely.
what's going on here. And then those people gave it like 3 and
Yeah.
2 out of 10, and I ended up watching a bunch of videos. I didn't play it, but I watched like full gameplay videos. I'm like, well, yeah, really, what is going on here? Like, what are people doing? And it was really cool to see the game like from an outsider in, not having to be invested and play it. But yeah,
Hmm.
crazy the way that game was received.
Yep, I completely bought into the storytelling as I played through it. I was completely enthralled, and just at the end, that big reveal of like him just trying to reach out to Coda to contact him and being like, "Player, you need to find him and tell him to email me." Oh my gosh, it's just such a crazy plot twist. And this is one of those things that you can only, I like video games that are examples of things you can only experience in video games, and this is definitely one of them, as it's like a look into unfinished. None of these game sections are like finished. They're all proof of works or just ideas or in process games, and having him even like explain how the games work and what the mechanics are and why they're cool is just a super incredible experience.
That is really
Yeah, I
cool.
remember on the video, like the characters just have like blocks on their head at one point, where
Hmm.
just one's just says enemy, and it's just like a green like cube
Yeah.
on their head, enemy, and that's it. That's the entire character model.
Yeah, it's just exploring games that never were finished. And it, yeah, man, such a cool idea. Obviously there'd be no reason for a sequel.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because they didn't add boats. They should have had boats.
Hmm.
God damn it.
Hmm. Hmm. True.
Anyway, unfortunately, Mike, I have a game where you jump. I apologize in advance.
Ah.
That's
But
okay.
it's
I didn't prepare my all boat list either, so none of us were ready for this day.
None of us were actually prepared.
we should have gotten together at the game jam or like a cafe or something. Uh,
Yeah,
my next
just
game,
talk about boats and gravity.
jumping. Yeah, fuck gravity. Yeah, Henry Hatsworth and the Puzzling Adventure.
What a great name.
It's it's just such a fun game because so again, it's a DS game where it makes awesome use of the top and bottom screen. The top screen is just a 2D platformer. You play as Henry, jump around, and like any enemies you beat are added to the bottom screen. And the bottom screen, then you can switch between like the top and bottom screen every so like with a press of a button or whatever. But the bottom screen plays out like a puzzle game, like a block based puzzle game, kind of like Tetris Attack. And enemies that you beat in the top screen will be sent down to the bottom screen as a block. And of course, you have to like match blocks and knock them out of the way and stuff. And it's such a really cool game. There's nothing else like it, and that's Henry Hatsworth. Goddamn,
That's what we like in video games.
I'm pretty sure it's still really really cheap. I think you can get it for like maybe $15 or less.
Nice.
Awesome.
Oh yeah. So, Mike, if you ever
I
make
have
an
a big soft
exception for
spot for
jumping, oh shit, go ahead.
Yeah, I like cheap games. No, that's the exception right there. Is
Okay.
I'm a huge fan of people playing things on a budget, whether that means playing like the Japanese version opposed to the North American NTSC version, or saying the naughty words like emulation and stealing and piracy and stuff like that. But I don't care as long as you play the game. So yeah, cheap games are awesome. It's the best
Sweet.
kind of games.
Awesome.
They are.
Did you have a cheap game for your next
I
one?
do.
Awesome.
Really cheap.
Yes.
And possible bolt references and no jumping.
Ooh.
Minus
Ooh.
one vehicle, and it's Blast Core. It's one of the best
yes.
games on the Nintendo 64. We almost alluded to it earlier. Another rare game that instead of Banjo, this is the game we should be wanting. And maybe this game is like stuck in that like late 90s, early 2000s like Mountain Dew extreme like Fred Durst culture, because it was just awesome music.
Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, it was really, really good music, but it is very, very decade specific in the way that it plays. So it's a big destruction. You get you're part of a group of people working kind of on the outskirts of the government trying to prevent a nuclear disaster, and that's the whole preference for destroying everything on the screen with whatever vehicle that you have, be it a bulldozer or a one-armed super robot or and like you said, soundtrack, vehicular destruction, brutal level of challenge too. Just like Force Gemini, the further you got into the game, they just ramp it until it's nearly impossible, which makes it great. So the only way I'd want a sequel for this is to keep all of that stuff. Don't try to like overcomplicate the graphics. It would still have to be that like 2.5 overhead, 3D isometric kind of thing. And then, really push that 90s, 2000s new metal backwards hat. We hate our dads aesthetic that the game had, and just take it to 1,000. That'd be so great for me.
Hate our dads. Yeah. Oh man,
Excellent.
yeah. I'm glad that they added that one to Rare Replay, because I never would have known about it if not for that. Then yeah, it's awesome.
I really need to check out.
And it's probably never going to get a sequel too. Like, it's one of those games. Probably just not going to happen. It was like a flash in the pan. It was a moment in time, but we can all hope.
I've got a video game to talk about.
Okay.
I want to talk about
professional transition.
Yes. If we're known for anything, it is excellent transitions. World of Goo. Have you guys played World of Goo?
No,
No.
I've heard about it though.
Oh, okay. This is the first video game I ever downloaded. It was early on in the WiiWare life cycle. It came out in 2008. It came out on my birthday. That's fun. So World of Goo is like a physics-based, almost bridge constructor kind of thing. You use balls of goo to build the goo from one side of the screen to the other, essentially. But obviously they get more difficult with different things in the way, and you get different goo types that do different things. And it's essentially you use the Wii remote pointer to drag and drop your goo balls to build structures.
Yeah.
and
Goo balls.
and it's really fun. It's a really simple premise that the level design actually like pushes to the next level. Like one of the first ones where you're just like, okay, this is something special, is there's a windmill in the middle of the stage, and you have to build your goo up and around the windmill, and the windmill is also causing the wind to blow, so you've got to somehow build your goo ball structure to take account of the wind and go up and over these swinging blades and get to the other side. And there's just tons of clever puzzle designs, and it works great with the Wii remote. It's almost like it was made for the Wii remote, and it's released on other things since then, but not a lot. It's on Switch apparently, and BlackBerry. You can get it on your BlackBerry.
Yeah, it was one of the first few games for the Switch, because it came out apparently March 16th of 2017, which was like maybe a week or two after the Switch came out, I think.
Dang, I can't believe I missed that.
Yeah. But I can't believe you didn't play it on BlackBerry, Tommy. Come on.
I know, I had a BlackBerry.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why he didn't play it on Switch, because he's already got it on his BlackBerry.
Okay. I had that was the last phone I had with a keyboard, was my BlackBerry.
Man,
I miss physical keyboards on phones. I'm gonna be honest.
I miss one of my favorite phones ever was the Samsung Intensity 2, and it was one of those phones that, uh, in like regular mode, we'll say it was just like the regular T9 word keypad, like a normal phone
Mhm.
has. But then yeah, you flip it sideways and like slide it up, and it had like one of those slide out keyboards, and that was
Yep.
sweet.
Yep.
I had one of
My
those too, but it was a Motorola something or another, and it had a full touch screen. Like it was probably the last generation that they tried that, and it was terrible because it broke within like 3 weeks. The ribbon between the touch screen and the screen broke, and I got a new one.
Ooh.
And then another 2 weeks later, it did the same thing. Because I really aggressively whip the tactical keyboard out when I have to type because I'm always in a hurry. So and after I broke the second one, then I was just no longer interested in having a tactile keyboard because I was just going to continue to break them apparently, or it was just bad design. It could be both. I don't know.
my
That's
my
Go ahead, Tom.
BlackBerry had a trackball, had a little trackball on it, so I could scroll around and everything. Broke constantly. I got so good at buying the 50-cent replacements on Amazon and replacing it with a screwdriver that it was like second nature because it was breaking so much.
I hope the boatman detective had the exact same phone that Mike had, and like whenever a maritime crime came up, he was like, "Mother of God!" Like he slowly takes off his sunglasses, like "Mother of God," and then takes his phone out of his pocket, and it's like, like in an instant, he like
Shatters.
quick draw McGraw's that shit and slides it up, and he's immediately like, I guess you wouldn't text a message to your cop homies, you would like call for backup, but whatever.
No, he texts his homies. He doesn't like talking on the phone.
Yeah,
Hey y'all.
I just wrote really punctual emails like to whom it may concern.
Need
Boat
backup.
noise.
Need backup.
Yeah. Because he's transforming into boat like mid email.
Yep. And one time he really needs backup and he flips his keyboard out and the two screens separate entirely and the top screen just flies off into the water. No honk. No backup comes that day.
Oh man, it's all the excitement of Transformers, except for the fact that he can't talk when he's in boat mode. He just has his horn.
Yeah.
And there's no Shia LaBeouf or Mark Wahlberg actually.
Oh
But
man.
Speaking of Mark Wahlberg, though, my last one is Eternal Darkness on GameCube, the Sanity's Requiem, or whatever the hell the subtitle is called.
Yep, that's what it's called.
Yes, exactly all that. But
All that.
Yeah. No, that's the entire name. Yeah.
But cool survival cool survival horror type. Oh my god, cool survival horror game, basically just spanning. What is it? You're this lady, and you take over this mansion from your deceased grandfather or uncle or whatever, and there's all this shit about like Cthulhu and old gods and shit like that. So you basically find all these like different pages for this spell book that you have, and you keep going like back in time and playing as like these different ancestors from your family who you find different like pages for that book through them. And what's really cool is like each of those characters in those different time periods, like you'll play, or I mean, they'll have like different weapons available to them. Of course, from that time period, like the very first one you play as is this guy from like the Greek or Roman era, or whatever the hell, and of course he only has like swords and like a crossbow and shit. But then you go to like colonial era, and you get like muskets and like old timey like pirate pistols and shit like that. And the combat was cool because like it's almost kind of like Dead Space in a sense, because you can target different body parts, and like say if you cut off one of their legs, they'll just stumble around and crawl around and shit, or you can like cut off their head, and like they'll still live, but they won't be able to see. They'll basically be blind, and you just stab them and all that stuff. But there was this cool, when you're playing as like the main chick, like the main character, you can do different combinations of runes in the spell book, in this like spell book that you have, and you can combine different runes to make different spells. Like you can make this like twister, or like an ice bomb and stuff like that. But I guess what everybody really knows the game for is the whole sanity meter bullshit, where
Yep.
when your sanity gets when the meter gets too high, it'll be like, hey, your save has been deleted, or like it'll
Sorry about that.
or it'll make it seem like the TV's been switched into AV mode, like the GameCube turned off, or just all sorts of other shit. Like it'll make warp the fuck out of the screen, stuff like that. No, yeah, it's a great game. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, it's a
It,
really cool game. I actually got some extra stuff about it because this was originally supposed to be a Nintendo 64 game.
Yep.
They were
I was
developing
gonna
this
ask. I
back
was
in
gonna be like, I
97.
bet Mike knew this.
Yep, totally know this. Yeah, they changed a lot of it. There's actually some beta footage online. You can go and look at it and see. It would have ended up
Ooh.
being a lot stiffer on the N64, but it was also supposed to be incredibly long compared to how they came out with the GameCube version. They originally wanted to have like 20 and 30 different endings to the game, and it was supposed to be like
Oh my god.
60 or 70 hours long on the N64 because it was developed on the DD, and then that was immediately scrapped when that died within a year.
Fuck, dude.
So then
Yep.
but then they still were developing it all the way up till like 2000, 2001. They were still making the cartridge and were still planning on doing it. But then as third-party developers started to realize that everything was getting moved to the GameCube, a lot of the development shut down for games and was just moved to the next system, and that's what happened. But they also cut so much content. From what I read one time, they cut like 70% of the game out of what was being developed on the N64 when they put it on GameCube, when you'd think it would work in the opposite direction, but apparently that's not the way it works.
Weird.
Insane. Yeah, and it was made by those what the fuck, Silicon Knights, the people who made Too Human and went super bankrupt and all that shit.
Yeah, they're really, really well known for following through on their promises about video games and then finishing them off with a really, really well-made game. And definitely not the opposite thing.
Oh man, should have used more boats.
Yeah, at least one boat.
I'm gonna have to rename this episode to just boat games.
Boat games. Oh my gosh, could you imagine?
A whole episode on
Can
boat
I be
games?
back on for the all boat game episode? I would love to come back for that.
Fuck
Yeah,
dude.
absolutely, 100%. We're setting that in stone right now.
I'm writing it down right now. Boat
Game of
games.
boats.
Game of boats.
This breaks protocol, but this is a special occasion for boats. Is there a National Boat Day?
I hope there is.
Oh, we should. Yeah, we can look it up off air though. Don't do it on air. That ruins the surprise.
National Safe Boating Week, May 20th to 26th. So you got to come
sorry,
back in
but
May.
what month it is? Next year? Okay, that's fine.
Just kidding. Okay, Mike, take us out. What's your last game?
It's one more N64 game. It's Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. So if you haven't played any of those games, awesome. Yeah, okay. There's jumping. Yeah, no boats. Yeah. But yeah, if you haven't played the game, I know it's more popular than some of the games we've talked about today, but I guess it would be like a more lighthearted Ocarina of Time. It has the same kind of dungeon mechanics, but it has multiple characters and lots of extra like level up elements because you have to unlock those extra characters by doing like trials and stuff, which is kind of like an extra dungeon. But yeah, the charm of the Goemon games is ridiculous. Like the pop culture references and the music and the environment. And once this era, so N64, Dreamcast, PS1, PS2 was gone, the series has just dropped off the face of the earth too. And that's what a shame, because the Goemon series was incredible, and they could use. This is one of those games that it would absolutely translate to any sort of game, because there was also Japan got an N64 game, Goemon MS Mononoke Sudoku, which is a card game. It ends up playing like sort of like Mario Party, but you gain cards and then you use them against other people, and that was once again Japanese exclusive. Nobody played it, so we're never going to see that game again. But just to get another Goemon game would be awesome.
I love Goemon games.
The Goemon's Adventure was a really good game too, but that ended up being more like a side-scrolling platformer with no boats and lots of jumping. So definitely, if you're going to pick one of the two, Mystical Ninja would have been the one that you would pick. So
obviously, yes.
Yeah.
Come on, listeners.
You were like all my old Nintendo powers in human form, and I love it.
That's the only way you keep people's attention.
I recognize all of these things from like just decades ago, reading about them in magazines, but I've never played them because I didn't own a Nintendo 64. Oh man,
yeah, I didn't really get to be like this until the last like 10 years or so. I had a Nintendo 64. The one that we use in my house, I have a lot of Nintendo 64s, but the one that we use we call Old Reliable. That was actually my wife's original Nintendo 64 that she got in '98, and it refuses to die. So I refuse to stop using it. So like it's gone through some shit, but
It's
it's
like
still
Boatman.
kicking. Yeah, oh yeah, just like Francis Boatman.
Francis
Boatman. Do you have need of a Nintendo 64 steering wheel, gas, and brake combo thing? Because I still have that, but I don't have a Nintendo 64.
Which one is it?
I don't know. I'd have to go look in my
Oh,
garage.
that makes a big difference. Because there's only one officially licensed one. The SCI one has like all the like F-Zero and all the advertisements on the front of it. Every other one was like Performance or Mad Cats and stuff.
No, it's definitely not that one.
It's not fancy? Well, you could still buy them for like $30. So if you're going on price versus fanciness, I don't know if it really correlates at all. But no, I don't have a need for it unless it's really fancy. Like incredibly fancy. Like I've never seen it before fancy.
Just leave it around your house and like make a Little Rascals fucking go-kart with it and just be like, brr, brr, look at this, Jessica. Brr, brr, and like all that stuff.
One of the first things that got my attention or got my account attention on Twitter was me playing Quest 64 using a steering wheel instead of a controller, because the way that the Nintendo 64 reads the steering wheel on Quest is that one pedal makes you go vertical, so the x-axis, right?
Well, I think
up and down. So one pedal makes you go up, one makes you go down, like away from the screen and towards the screen, and then the steering wheel makes you go left and right on the screen, but there isn't any of like the in-between inputs, so you have to get really good at pressing like the brake pedal and left at the same time to go diagonally up and to the left. And it got really crazy. I was able to mentally handle it for a couple hours, but then after that, everyone's like, finish the game, and that absolutely is never going to happen. And that, I would probably try to beat the game using, I don't know if you guys know, but the Nintendo 64 also was the first Nintendo game that had a DDR mat. They had Disney Dancing Museum, so it was just a bunch of Disney songs and Mickey characters with a DDR mat. And I would much rather beat the game using a DDR mat than try to complete the game using a steering wheel.
Oh God, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I got to agree. Is that it? Is that everyone's games?
That's the games.
Yeah.
Those are it. Every other one-off games was not good. If we didn't mention one, they are bad.
Because
you guys didn't have like any plus ones like that. You're like, oh man, I don't want to pull back the curtain here, but we were talking about maybe a game not being included on the list at the 11th hour previous to the show recording, and I make sure that we got them all.
I wanted to put Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology, but it added a lot of stuff in the remake, so I took it off.
This makes sense.
All other games either had not enough boats, too much jumping, gravity, whatever the hell else we've been talking about, maritime crimes.
Yeah, the only one I would consider after finding these new definitions of what makes a great game would be Simpsons Hit and Run. Was the only one I talked myself out of putting on the list, because I thought, enough people will think of that, and there's not any boats on that, and there's no jumping, so why would people play that? But is there a boat car? Well, yeah, but it's not, but it's a car.
Yeah, you're right. That's not a boat. A boat car is not a boat.
No, that's like a boat boy instead of a boat man. That's just not all the way.
Exactly. I was stupid to even say it.
They're gonna have a prequel series where it's Boat Boy. It's Francis. It's him as a kid. I mean, somehow he still has his boatman powers, but he transforms into like a little like paper sailboat or something.
Don't even try to make it make sense.
Frank Boatson instead, because obviously it'd be the boat's
little
son.
Frankie Boatson.
Yeah.
From the producers of Sheldon or whatever the Big Bang Theory prequel bullshit is. It's no Young Sheldon. That's what it is. It's Young Boatman.
Young Boatman.
Frankie Boat Boy.
Oh my God. Take us out, Tommy.
Well, first, what do we do what we're doing next week first, or do we? I forgot the order.
No, it's the. Stop sighing, Tommy. Do the socials and all that stuff.
Mike, where can people find you on Twitter? Where's the Quest 64?
That's it. Quest 64 official, because I refuse to pay for a blue check mark, so you just say it.
Yeah.
Official.
That's right. And where can people find us, Aaron, if they want more of this incredible SuperPod content?
For more incredibly detailed and in-depth discussions, go to superpodsaga.com, and you can also read our blogs, all of our past episodes, our support tab. It's got Patreon and Ko-Fi. I put a lot of silly fucking gifts on our website. It's great. Leave a review, all that stuff. Superpodsaga.com.
SuperPodsaga.com. Is it pronounced Ko-Fi? I thought it was pronounced coffee because it's like they're giving you
Oh.
a coffee.
Oh, maybe. Holy
But I
shit.
could be wrong.
Am I stupid? I think it is coffee.
Because I thought, who knows? But anyways, go give us money on that if you want to. What next week though? We're gonna have another podcast because that's how this works. What are we gonna talk about in the next episode, Aaron?
Well, we're saving the boat games for when Mike comes back on again.
Yep, no boats.
So let's go with weird games, like games that are just really weird.
Yes, that'll be fun. I play weird games.
There's a lot of weird games.
So look forward to that, people. Look forward to us talking about weird games next week. Thank you, Mike, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It was just an enlightening experience, and I could not replicate this in any way in my own home by myself. So
that's what we love to hear. That's what we aim for. And thank you, wonderful listeners, for listening and continuing to listen and listening in the future. We love your listening. Have a great day. Bye.
Mike, say bye.
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 Bye, really. Bye. Boat noise.